couple of rules of arithmetic that people tend to lose track of. Okay, first of all, a raised to the negative b means what? It means 1 divided by a to the b. So a to the negative b is 1 over a to the b. There are reasons for that. We'll see the reasons, but right now we simply have to understand that that's the definition of what it means to have a negative exponent. 0 over 1 is 0. That's because 1 goes into 0 times. You need 0 ones to make a 0. But 1 over 0 is undefined, because how many zeros does it take to make 1? You can't make 1 out of zeros. Well, division means how many of these does it take to make this. Okay? And here you don't have an answer, so the 1 over 0 is undefined. There are other more formal reasons for that, but try to understand that one. Okay? Another one, and you don't need to understand why this is, I'm simply going to state it, that 2 to the 1/2 is an irrational number. As a matter of fact, almost any number to the 1/2 power is an irrational number. Okay? But specifically 2 raised to the 1/2 is an irrational number. What does that mean? It means you can't write it out exactly as a decimal. It means if you try to write it out as a decimal, there's always another decimal beyond that. So to write it out as exactly as a decimal, you would need to write infinitely many decimals, and you can't do that. Okay? Not even in principle can you do that. Also, there's no fixed pattern to the decimals, because if there was a fixed pattern, you'd be able to write it as a fraction. Okay, like 792 over 386. Of course, that would reduce because those are both even numbers, but don't worry about that. Okay, so you can't write 2 to the 1/2 as a decimal number. You can't write it as a fraction with an integer for the numerator and an integer for the denominator. An integer means like a positive or negative whole number, or 0. Just like -5, 2, 0, 17, -400. Those are all integers. If you got a fractional part or a decimal part, it's not an integer anymore. So you want to store that idea away. So you want to understand everything I said. If you don't understand it all, replay the video and make notes. Make sure that you do understand it as best you possibly can.